Good afternoon or good evening. I tell you what, today has been one of those days. Right, my induction videos are all kind of like playing me up, so we are trying to sort that out. So don't really want to play them because if I do, they just go. It would just be what can I call it? It'd be mayhem. So I thought, no, I won't bother. Anyway, Liz, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Don't forget, guys, if you've got any. Last week was really good, so please leave me more messages in your right hand column. If you've got anything for Liz, either on radio or on here, please do. Now, there was something I wanted to talk to you about tonight. Then all of a sudden, it just left my mind.
Steve,
But,
don't do that.
but, then all of a sudden, I've forgotten. No, I haven't. I want to talk about tonight carbs,
My favourite subject.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, everybody gets mixed up with carbs. Now, when I was on the PHC the other day, and I was getting people were talking about carbs this, carbs that, and everything, and to me, I just get it all mixed up. Can you explain to people out there what carbs are? Because some people want, probably won't know.
Okay, well, just quickly, you've obviously got your protein, so that's your meats, predominantly meats. You've got your fats and oils, and then you've got your carbohydrates. And they are given a bad rap, but what people don't realise is there are two different kinds of carbohydrates. Well, there are, in a sense, there are quite a few different kinds, but you've got refined carbohydrates, or you've got kind of natural carbohydrates. And natural carbohydrates come from your fruit and your veggies. And you've got your not so natural carbs, which come by the way of grain-based product, wheat and barley, rice. And what I mean by not natural is we're not really built to consume grains because we don't have the enzymes to break them down properly, and they contain toxins and things which causes digestive distress and other health issues. So the carbohydrates from fruits and vegetable are fantastic, but then you've got the refined carbohydrates from refined sugar, table sugar, refined grains, so breads, pastas, and every dish made with those ones are problematic for a number of reasons. So your vegetables and your fruits, brilliant, although watch the fruit because of the fructose content, but those are great natural carbohydrates.
Right. Okay. So now, believe it or not, when I was younger, I used to do a lot of like, I used to be really, I used to do a lot of running, and marathons and stuff. And people used to say, "Oh, you've got to keep up with your your carbs and everything. You've got to do this." But the trouble is, Lucy, I just don't understand it with the fitness point of view of it.
Well, their health more than anything, because the problem is we were led to believe we need carbohydrate for our energy. And to a sense, that is true. But ideally, the body would prefer to tap into our own body fat to use as a fuel. And there are a number of reasons why. Number one, most of us have an unlimited amount of body fat to use. Even your skinny friend has a lot of body fat going on in there that your body would prefer to use. And also, it's clean burning. And what I mean by that is carbohydrates in whatever form, be it table sugar or be it root tubers, they're broken down by the body into glucose. Whichever form it comes in, all of it is broken down into glucose. And when your body uses glucose as a fuel, it creates a lot of mess. So if you imagine damp twigs on a fire, there's a lot of smoke with damp twigs. And also those damp twigs don't last for very long. They burn out really quickly. But whereas body fat, if you imagine a great big fat log on a fire, a great big dry fat log, that's going to burn for a long, long time without all the smoke. There's no smoke. And that smoke that I mentioned are it's all to do with that free radicals. So that smoke produces a lot of free radicals, and that is what ages us, causes illness and disease, all that smoke from the damp twigs. So,
Okay, so what's the difference between the carbs and the fat? Is it that the carbs, if you have carbs, does that kill the fat then?
no, but when you're using carbohydrate for fuel, it's just a messy it's a messy burning. It's not clean burning, so it causes a lot of free radical damage, and it will run out. So going back to your marathon, people that run a marathon, you see them well, they load up on carbohydrates for starters, causing digestive upset and all sorts of health issues, lots of inflammation, but they have to take in food as they're running. Whereas a fat burner, someone who predominantly uses their body fat for fuel, can run a marathon, and it happens, can run a marathon without any intake of carbohydrate at all, and they will just keep going and going and going like a Duracell bunny, because they're able to tap into their body fat, and they've got a great big fat tank to use compared to carbohydrate, which runs out. So they don't need to refuel as they're training, as they're running. They can access their body fat, and that gives them the energy to keep on going, like that Duracell bunny.
Yes, that Duracell bunny. I remember that one.
Yeah, carbohydrates are really misunderstood. We've been told we need them for our energy. No, we don't.
Let's watch this video.
A half marathon has been on your bucket list for ages. You finally round up a bunch of friends and sign up for a charity run in 6 months. After one of your training sessions, a friend suggests that you should add protein to your diet to perform better on your run. But another friend tells you that loading up on carbs is better for endurance. So who's right? If you're into endurance training like cycling or long distance running, should you focus on carbs or protein? First, let's have a look at what happens inside a muscle during exercise. All dynamic forms of exercise, like running, require contraction of your muscle to generate force, and then relaxation so that the cycle can repeat itself. Deep down inside a muscle, there are two long fibers called actin and myosin. For a muscle to contract and generate force, myosin needs to grab the actin fiber and pull it. Of course, all of this doesn't happen on its own. Muscles need energy to make the magic happen. When myosin pulls an actin fiber, the main fuel being burned is called adenosine triphosphate, also known as ATP. Think of a muscle like the engine of a petrol-thirsty car. Each muscle contains a small store of ATP, which is only enough to last for about 3 seconds of muscle contraction. So muscles need a way to continuously refuel and make new ATP. Well, the body has 3 energy storage tanks that it draws upon to power this ATP guzzling machine. First is creatine phosphate. Muscles break down creatine to rapidly make new ATP. But creatine can only generate enough ATP to power a muscle for about 10 seconds. So creatine is good for short bursts of muscle power, like when lifting weights, but not so good for endurance. Then there's the second tank, the glycogen lactic acid system. Glycogen is a stored form of carbohydrates. When you eat a slice of bread, the carbs that your body doesn't use immediately is stored in the form of glycogen. All body cells can store glycogen to some extent, but your liver and muscle cells can store especially large amounts. When muscles sense that the ATP and creatine stores are running low, muscles start breaking down glycogen into glucose. When there isn't a lot of oxygen available, this glucose is converted into lactic acid, which leads to the production of ATP. The glycogen lactic acid system can power muscles for about 1.5 minutes, which is much better than the 10 seconds of the creatine system, but not enough to get you through a half marathon. Also, lactic acid causes extreme muscle fatigue. The final trick up the body's sleeve is the aerobic system. Here, glycogen is broken down into glucose, then to pyruvic acid. But rather than being converted into lactic acid, pyruvic acid is instead sent to a powerful place in the cell called the mitochondria. In the mitochondria, pyruvic acid reacts with oxygen to produce enormous amounts of ATP. So to recap, stored ATP and creatine can power a muscle for about 10 seconds. The glycogen lactic acid system powers the body for about 1.5 minutes. But what about the aerobic system? Well, it is essentially unlimited. As long as there are enough nutrients, the aerobic system will continue to pump out ATP. But what happens when the body runs low on glycogen? Well, fat stores can be broken down to make significant amounts of ATP, and it can also convert protein into glucose. But this process is not very efficient. So in order of priority, the body likes to use glycogen first, then fats, and protein only as a last resort. So now that we know that the body likes to use carbs and fats for energy, let's see which type of diet performs best for endurance training. A high carbohydrate diet, a high fat diet, or a mixed diet. On the left is the percentage of energy coming from carbs, with 0% on the bottom and 100% on the top. On the right is the percentage of energy sourced from fats, with 0% on the top and 100% on the bottom. For an athlete on a mixed diet, initially, all the energy comes from carbs, but they're used up fairly quickly. At 4 minutes of activity, about 75% of energy is from carbs and 25% is from fats. At 2 hours, the athlete reaches exhaustion.
There you go.
That was pretty deep.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, so, I'm not going, what, sorry, one with you.
80 what?
Yeah, well,
What?
that's why I'm going to ask you about it, because I don't think he knows, well, between me and you, I don't think he knows what he's talking about.
Oh,
What
no, he does.
Oh, he don't, does he?
Well, no, he's right. It's right in the choice of fuels. I mean, our bodies will choose to use glycogen first because it doesn't take much effort to break it down into a usable fuel. So our bodies are pretty switched on. So they will use carbohydrate as a fuel because it's like that. You break it down really quick. To break down the other fuels, carbohydrate and protein, takes much more effort by the body. So the body is very efficient. It will use the easiest source available to it.
Right, okay.
But when we load our bodies up with too much carbohydrate, that's where the problem lies. Some carbohydrate is not a problem if it's from the right quality of source, like your predominantly low starchy ones, the ones that are grown above the ground. And those carbs are fine, and you can keep your tank, you can have a little bit, instead of filling it up to the top, you can keep some down there because it's a fuel that is very quick to break down. So that's why sprinters do need carbohydrate to fuel them, but the right kind. Whereas a marathon runner, endurance, because they're working out at a lower pace, like you said, the aerobic system can use fat really well and give you untold lengths of time. That's why a marathon or endurance runners can work out well with their own body fat, whereas the carbohydrate, you can use it up. It's really quick. It's gone.
What's the best diet? Because I was going to get into it. See, I was with the video. It was too complicated for me, but but it was. It was. I was thinking, right, stop that then. I must admit, But
Yeah,
for me,
deep, wasn't it?
sorry,
So it was getting a bit deep.
it was getting a bit deep. So, we don't go deep on here, Liz. We don't get deep. Only time we go deep is when we're getting told off. But
I was going to say, don't mention it.
don't mention it. But no, what I'm trying to say, I just don't understand it. So, what is the best diet? Because they're saying, well, carbs, and they were going to go into to say what is the best diet. You know what I mean?
The best diet is the most natural diet that you can possibly do. So a natural diet means no processed foods. If it's got to be processed for you to consume it, which grain has, sugar has, processed oils, refined oils, those are the foods that really you shouldn't be eating. There's nothing wrong with the right kind of carbohydrate, because you'll be pushed to fill up your carbohydrate tank on just low starchy veggies. You really will. You'd need to eat a wheelbarrow full of Brussels sprouts. You know, it's just not possible. Well, it is possible, but nobody would want to do it.
Brussels sprouts.
So there's nothing wrong with taking in, low fructose fruits like your berries and an abundance of low starchy veggies. Those are carbohydrates, but they're not aggressive to your system. They don't spike your blood sugar. They don't cause inflammation. They don't cause a release of insulin.
Mm.
But when you train your body to predominantly use body fat, that's such a great place to be, because we've got unlimited sources. It's clean burning, and it stabilizes hormones. It's just a fantastic way to be. But without any doubt, today's diet is loaded with refined processed foods, and we're being fooled into believing that they're healthy for us, and they aren't. They are not.
No, it's terrible, isn't it? But the trouble is, how many times have we repeated this question all the time? You know, we always say this all the time, every week, in and out. The trouble is, it's all about money, isn't it, Liz?
Yeah.
It's all about money, and we can't. No one's gonna beat it, are they? No one's gonna. It's like me. I used to like kind of chain myself to fences and all that. Stop takeaways. You're not going to stop the takeaway industry, aren't you?
No.
You know what I mean?
Because it's quick, and people want quickness these days.
Of course they do. Of course they do. And it's what can you do about it? But
I know it is difficult, and this is why. And you're going to laugh.
You know why.
Once you know why you want to make changes, then you will do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you might have a hiccup along the way. You might come crashing down, but you're determined enough to give it a bloody good go.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and that's what makes the difference, and that's why the why is so important.
I know. I was ready for you to say that. I was there going, why? You're why.
Yeah, it really is true. People really want. People need to want to make a change.
Making
me hungry. Looking for his fish and chips and chocolate fudge cake and can of Coke. Someone's playing with us, I think. Funny, Gary.
Gary.
No, that's good.
Thanks, Gary. Fish and chips on everybody, is it?
And chocolate fudge cake. And don't get me wrong, I bang on about all these foods aren't great for you. Not for breakfast, dinner and tea. But I have maybe pizza every now and again. I maybe have some crisps every now and again. It's when it's in your diet daily that it becomes the problem. And not just for weight, but for your health, what that food is doing to you inside. And people don't realize there's so much inflammation going on. High blood pressure, high blood glucose, high blood triglycerides, cholesterol levels all out of whack. It's all of that that's going on inside that people don't realize. General aches and pains, likely, unless you've got something wrong, likely is down to inflammation. My mum's feeling it. My mum started taking a few bad foods, and she said to me yesterday, she said, I need to get back on it. She said, because I'm feeling it in my hands, joints.
Yeah.
It's really noticeable. Yeah.
You get lymphedema and everything, don't you?
Oh, it's terrible what this food does, and we are led to believe it's healthy. But any food which comes in a packet with a list of ingredients is not healthy. Start looking at what's in these health foods. Start looking.
That's right. Yeah, we need to, don't we?
Yeah, read your labels.
Yes, we need to. Yes, we need to go to Slimming World. Anyway, yeah, you started it all off. You get me in trouble. Um, but the trouble is, so with the carbs, what do you suggest that someone should do each day if they're doing a meal and everything? What should they do about carbs?
Well, ideally, every meal should be a protein, a portion of good quality protein, some healthy fats, and some low carby, low starchy vegetables. So low starchy vegetables are ones that are grown predominantly above the ground. The ones that
Right.
are grown below the ground, like your root tubers, potatoes, parsnips, beetroots, yes, they're fantastic. Yes, they're nutrient dense, but if you want to lose weight, you have to minimize those and increase them, the ones that grow above the ground, of all different colors. Get all the colors in, because then you've got the antioxidants as well, and you've got the fiber, and you need the fiber to feed your good gut bugs.
Fiber.
So a portion of
about-
protein.
I've got a message here from Amanda. She said, "How about cereal? I love my cereal in the morning."
Yeah, cereal is actually a really bad start to your day, because your blood sugar is already higher in the morning, and when you take in cereal, it raises your blood sugar even further, and insulin will be released to bring that blood sugar down, and then you're on a roller coaster ride of high blood sugar highs and lows, energy levels highs and lows, slumping, energy slumps, brain fog, cravings. It's not that the best thing you can do for your breakfast is start your day well by taking out the grain-based products and the refined sugars. So again, a portion of protein, a healthy fat, some low starchy veggies, get them in. So omelets are fantastic for that, and you can throw in peppers and mushrooms. Tomorrow in my live kitchen session, I'm making spinach. Oh, now what's this? Shack shush or something. Shack shush. But it's spinach, it's
What is
onion.
it?
Shack. I've never come across it before, but I'm trying it tomorrow. Time. Shack shoes or something.
Yeah, say it again.
Shack shook.
Say it
It's a northeastern African dish.
All right.
Spinach and onions and mushrooms in there, and eggs, and that's a fantastic meal to have. So who was that?
Doing this? What time are you doing it?
Eh?
What time are you doing it?
I'm doing it 3 o'clock.
Okay, guys, don't forget 3 o'clock. Can anybody watch it?
Yes, because I'm streaming it out to my profile as well. So if you click on my name and friend me, then you'll be able to catch the live tomorrow.
Yeah, the last time, guys, you burnt the kitchen down early.
No, I didn't. I didn't make a mess though, because I'm so concentrated on talking to everybody that it takes me more time to clean up the kitchen than it does to cook the dish.
Yeah, no. No, but I think it's funny how you do it. I've always said in the past that I would do it, but I haven't, have I?
No, you haven't got round to it, have you?
Never do, no, never do.
Maybe we could both do a live, Steve.
Yeah, we'll be funny, yeah.
Yeah, I could do the meal and you can cook along with me in the kitchen. We'll do it live.
Yeah, we will one day. Yeah, we will one day. What?
Yeah, but I think that was Amanda. Yeah, watch that serial, because it is a roller coaster ride, and those serials don't keep you full for very long either, because they break down really quickly because they're already quite refined, and you might find that come mid-morning you're already starting to think about snacks. That's the problem.
See, Richard here, he's saying here that Steve, every morning I don't have any butter on my toast anymore, so I leave the butter, but I do put nutto on it, chocolate nutto. You might as well just have the butter if he does that.
I was just about to say, it'd be better off having the butter and getting rid of all the rest.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
But this is a typical scenario, isn't it, Steve? People have been led to believe that butter is unhealthy. It's actually healthier than the bread.
Mm.
But that fat thing is still. I mean, I went shopping the other day and it was low fat. This I could hardly get my hands on some full fat pate because it was all low fat, and I'm like, oh my god! But we're still being led to believe that's good for us. No,
No, it's a selling point, you know. They
Yeah.
tell you that, but it's a selling point, you know.
Well, it's ingrained in us. I mean, how many years have we been led to believe that fat's bad? I mean, I spent my younger years growing up on rice, jacket potatoes, simply because they didn't have any fat in it. I mean,
Wow. Do you know what? A long time ago, people want fat anyway, were they?
no, because the food was more natural. You didn't have the refined this and the refined that. And years ago, way back farming, yes, people ate bread, but it wasn't cultivated like it is today.
No, it was Ovis
It
bread.
wasn't loaded with other crap. What?
It was Ovis.
Ovis. But it was more natural.
Yeah,
I don't poo-poo bread. I go for the best quality my money can buy. I will always use a baker. I never buy bread from the supermarket. Certainly not sliced stuff in a plastic bag. Mm-mm-mm.
So you would go to an actual baker?
Yes.
God.
Or learn to make it myself. You know, a primal aligned diet isn't ideally should be all grains out, all refined sugars, all refined oils. But we still like a bit of bread. Who doesn't like a bit of bacon butty?
Yeah.
But get better quality.
Good. Thank you, Liz.
And occasionally, not every day.
Yes. And guys, know to get your why.
Know your why.
Yes,
Yeah.
you've got to know your why.
Yeah.
Liz, I'm going to let you go, and you can. I was going to mention something, but I won't. You can go and watch television and yeah, go and do your why. As Michelle said, she's laughing. But thank you very much, Liz, as always. All right. Okay, guys, don't forget, follow Liz and Ada, and then you can watch what she does in the kitchen. It's really good actually, and it's really interesting. Yeah, Michelle loves it. Michelle, she's always like looking at it. She's thinking, what's she doing now? What's she doing now?
Fantastic.
Yeah, you're talking to you. As long as you don't do any fish, it'll be good.
Oh, no fish.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't do any fish.
All right then. Thank you, Liz. Bye bye. Cheerio, everybody. Bye. There you go, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to be back tomorrow now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tomorrow now. So, rest of the evening off. Yay. So, see you later, guys. Bye bye. Thank you, Gary.